Hello, I'm Claudine Wong. I'm an anchor at KTVU and your moderator today, and welcome to this roundtable of candidates running for San Ramon Mayor. The city of San Ramon is located in Contra Costa County's San Ramon Valley. It is headquarters to several large companies, and it is home to more than 86,000 people. Today's roundtable is sponsored by the Contra Costa County Elections Division, the League of Women Voters of Diablo Valley and West Contra Costa County, and Contra Costa Television, with support from the cities of Antioch, Concord, and Walnut Creek. We are recording this roundtable live in the Martinez studios of Contra Costa Television, and the candidates participating are Mark H. Armstrong and Chirag Kathrani. Prior to the start of today's program, the candidates drew lots to determine their speaking order, so we're going to begin with Mark Armstrong. And I want to give you a chance to just introduce yourself to the voters. Tell us why that you want this position of mayor.
Yeah. Thank you, Claudine, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and CCTV for this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm a Bay Area native. I grew up in Palo Alto. I went to West Point, graduated in 1981 with a civil engineering degree, served 30 years in the U.S. Army, and then did 12 years in emergency management field and did some disaster response and recovery missions with FEMA for quite some time, helping out residents. And I've lived in San Ramon for 20 years now, and my family and I have raised all 4 of our kids in San Ramon. And currently I'm on San Ramon City Council, been doing that for 4 years. And last year I was the vice mayor and had the opportunity to serve as the acting mayor for some time when the mayor went ill.
All right, Chirag Kathrani, your chance to introduce yourself and tell us why you want the job as mayor.
So, this is Chirag, and thanks Claudia, thanks for Contra Costa County Television for giving us the opportunity and League of Women's Voter. Thank you very much. So, I am running this because when I saw like Mark was running unopposed, and I thought like this was something which democracy really needs. There should be competition all the time. So that was one of the reasons, but once I entered and I started looking into it, there are a lot of issues that when I go and talk to the voters, they talk about affordability, they talk about, there's a tax measure coming up as well, which a lot of people were not aware of. There's a 1% tax increase coming up. My technical background is I'm a tech entrepreneur. I have done like 6 to 7 startups. So when I do startups, we think of differently, we completely play differently, we have to play a different game, because when we are competing with the big companies. So I did something very similar to DoorDash at some point of time. Well, I think I'll probably give this experience in the city. That way I can check in the finances and any issues that I can see of, figure out to. So that should be all for.
So tell me then, if I follow up on now that you are in the race and you joined in August, tell me what you think your top priorities are for the city of San Ramon, and then what you would put on your platform as mayor if you got the job.
So I looked up all the previous debates and everything. I have seen like affordability has been one of the very important topic. Public safety second is also there in the top priority, but affordability became much important topic when I really talked to the voters. There was a survey done by City of San Ramon where they had like given an options in which 4% people responded, and like public safety was the top issue. But I think 4% response itself shows a failure of engagement. Community engagement is very poor. So I think affordability becomes a top priority, and I think Mark is also spoke about affordability in last few debates, in the last debate, and I would like to have his words on it as well.
Yes, all right. Mark, we'll turn to you in terms of your priorities if you got the job as mayor.
Sure, my priorities are, I'll start with public safety. It's really the most important thing that we can do, and I do strongly believe we should have a fully resourced, fully funded, well-trained, well-equipped police department. There's a lot more to public safety, but another area is protecting our existing neighborhoods. And I have a vision for how we're going to build out the city core area around Bishop Ranch in order to accomplish that. That'll help protect our existing neighborhoods, our open space, and retail. And that's one of my other priorities, is protecting our open space. But again, that vision helps to accomplish that. And then quality of life. We've got great parks and good roads and great services and programs for our residents. and I want to make sure we got the funding to do all of that. And that's the last priority is fiscal responsibility. We've had some challenges in the financial area. We're financially sound. We've got a balanced budget, but I want to make sure that we continue to work on that to make sure that those quality of life programs and public safety and things like that are still available for our residents.
So let's drill down on a few of the issues in particular. Chirag mentioned affordability and housing, and let's go a little deeper in that in terms of where you think it stands in San Ramon and what actions you could take in terms of affordable housing and making that option open to more people.
Yeah, sure. Affordable housing is certainly a big issue across the state, but certainly in San Ramon. We need to have more housing for especially our workforce folks, our teachers, our nurses, our police, our trade workers, our young families moving back to San Ramon, our seniors. And so we have, again, or at least I have, support the vision of the city to help build out in the city core area to put in a lot of that housing, and that it's going to mean denser housing, it's going to mean higher housing, but it's going to be in an area where we can take advantage of some of the less used office space that's there in Bishop Ranch and some of the empty parking lots. That extra volume of housing will help. We'll also include an affordability component, a certain percentage, at least up to 15% of affordable units will be in that area. And hopefully that will go a long ways towards getting us some more affordability. We have other areas with affordable housing. Yep. I can talk to that later.
Okay. I know you addressed affordable housing. I want to move to economic development in terms of, we have seen large companies in San Ramon. We've seen some say, like Chevron, that they leave the area. Can you talk about how you feel about economic development in San Ramon and where you think moving forward it goes?
Yes. This is an area where I actually excel into because I know a lot of CEOs in San Ramon who are doing business in Fremont, Pleasanton, and different cities. And one of the major reasons they say like San Ramon is very expensive. A lot of the businesses have been moved out of San Ramon, left San Ramon because it's just businesses are getting hard times, especially the rent increases came up, and there were other part of a market mentioned is like the affordable housing, the Bishop Ranch City Walk project, I think so that's what he was referring to. The City Walk project is like mostly building townhomes. These are like 3,000 square feet homes, most of them. For the last few debates, I'm seeing people talking about affordable housing, but I don't see really on the ground that many affordable house. I don't see any affordable housing being built. It's only those townhomes which cost really high. So that,
okay.
And the businesses, I want to bring businesses over here.
Is there a certain type of industry that you want to
so
bring in?
I have helped run 3 businesses in San Ramon. There's a couple of restaurants I helped build up. There's a logistic company I helped build up, where I also invested myself some of the fund, not loaned some fund, but that way, like I think we just need to encourage our local entrepreneurship. There are a lot of talents in San Ramon. I think we should nurture them.
Okay, and Mark, your thoughts on economic development in terms of large companies, small businesses coming into the city?
Sure. One of the biggest things we can do to attract, small business and large businesses is to continue a lot of the things that we're doing now. We have a great city. We have a safe city. We have great parks. We have good roads. We have things that attract not only residents to want to come to San Ramon, but also businesses. If you have a very safe city and good services and programs and things for the residents, then the businesses are going to see that, and they're going to want to come and set up in San Ramon. So that's one of the things we can do. Continue to fund all those things and make sure we've got those going in the right direction, and we'll get some additional businesses in here. It is expensive in San Ramon. It is expensive to lease in San Ramon. Certainly, affordable housing is an issue. We've got to work through all those things and do it thoughtfully.
Is there a type of industry that you would say that it is perfect for the San Ramon area?
It's evolving now, especially with Bishop Ranch area is certainly post-pandemic. We've seen a lot more people who are working remotely from home and that sort of thing, less people actually in the office. All that's evolving and changing. I'm not sure anyone knows really where that's going to go. But, you know, we don't pick the winners and losers and who comes and goes. You know, they have to choose San Ramon, and we certainly will support them when they do make that decision.
Public safety, let's talk about that. I mean, certainly that's an issue for every community in terms of police, fire. Where do you think resources sit in those spaces? Do you think those budgets need to increase? Do you think there's more staffing that is needed?
Yeah, well, I like I said at the outset, I fully support funding our police department. We have a great police department. They get along very well with the community. They're very well respected. They're currently very well resourced and staffed. We have a couple staff shortages, and we continue to recruit lateral and new members of the police department. But we also recently got a $5.6 million organized retail theft prevention grant that's gone a long ways to helping us create a retail theft prevention unit that's going after a lot of the the criminals who are doing that retail theft, that, you know, the sunglasses shops and the beauty, the makeup shops and big box stores and things like that. And our investigators are excellent. They're super. That money's going a long way to get new vehicles, drone cameras for drone as a first responder programs, license plate readers and things like that. So we need to keep that funding up and make sure our budget, you know, shows that as a priority for the city.
So the priority is also on technology and bringing that into the city?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
How do you feel about police, fire, resources, technology coming in?
So technology is one area where I expertise. That's one of my specialty. As far as police force goes, we have a good 70. I wouldn't say it's the best amount of, we probably need a little bit more, because out of 85,000 residents, 70 police force is a little short, I would say. So I would do a bit of emphasis on that. We need to probably recruit a little bit more, a few more police force. While technology comes in, there is a lot of, if you see DVHS, most of the kids go to Berkeley, UCs, they're like all filled with DVHS kids, and they do startups, a lot of them do startups, and they go do startups in San Francisco. I really want to bring the innovation back. I actually am talking to a lot of the kids, engaging them into leadership. So once they are leaders, if they learn a bit of leadership anywhere, then that goes a long way. Entrepreneurship is one kind of leadership, which I believe so, and that's what I am trying all the kids. So in my platform, I'm telling everybody, instead of donating me, give me your kid, I'll give you back a leader.
Okay, so in terms of, just to revisit, in terms of police, fire, you say more funding for police, more officers?
More funding, I think so, a bit more funding for police. Fire is an area which Mark would have better understanding, because I haven't been on city council before.
Okay, as you move forward, I mean, the current mayor is the city's longest serving council member. Do you feel like as if you were elected as the next mayor, it would be kind of keeping things going in the same direction, or do you see a lot of changes?
I will do a lot of changes. One of the biggest change I am thinking is getting the community engagement. Whenever I did a lot of times I came into the city council meeting, I organized youth to come and talk in the city council meeting, only to hear that this is not an agenda item, and it never comes on agenda. So I think I'll encourage those community engagement, talk to people who criticize the city.
Okay, and Mark, do you see yourself as keeping the ship and building on what's been going, or do you see a different direction for San Ramon?
Well, I'm not just going to be a caretaker of what we've got. There are some changes, some adjustments that I do think we need to make, but we're going in a good direction. And in particular, I want to continue to emphasize that growth, the required mandated growth that the state's requiring for us, and focusing that in the city core area, and getting us, financially and fiscally sound. And we may have to do some creative, hard things to make that happen into the future. So there's going to be some changes in the future, but we're in good shape. We have the good fortune of having a city that's doing a lot of things right. We're not like a lot of cities in the Bay Area that are having some real struggles, we can continue to keep things going on the right footing and just make incremental adjustments to make things better.
So that being said, what do you see as the biggest challenge as you're looking ahead and you're talking to voters and they're saying, oh, I am frustrated about this or I'm frustrated about that? Sometimes solutions are long-term solutions. What do you think the biggest challenge as mayor would be for you?
Yeah, there's a couple challenges. I hear a lot of things talking to residents about crime and public safety. I hear things about affordable housing. I hear things, all sorts of different things. But in terms of affordable housing, I think we're going in the right direction. We covered that. We will be building out, at least 15% of all the new development. Will include an affordable housing component. Financially, it's a challenge because we had to make some deep spending cuts this year in order to balance the budget. We will continue to balance the budget. It's state law. We have to. But we'll continue to do spending cuts. We'll also continue to look for other opportunities to increase revenue. And we did some of that this year as well. But that's a challenge too. We increased some of our user fees. We had a study done on making sure we're charging the right amount for the right services and programs. We're also doing a nexus study that will make sure our developer fees, that when they pay in for park development fees and open space and things like that, that they're being charged the right amounts and things like that. So there are some other areas where we can do some revenue increases, but that balance is what we're going to have to strike.
I'll go talk to you about the biggest challenges that you want to, and you hear from voters of what might be the biggest challenge in office.
So one of the biggest challenge in the office I see is if I get to be the mayor, I want to when I see the measure N which is coming up, the tax measure 1% tax increase which is coming up. One thing it shows 30% of people shop in San Ramon, outside of San Ramon come and shop in San Ramon. That's a pretty good news. But it doesn't tell that most of the people who live in Windermere actually go and shop in Dublin. So I think that's one area where we need to develop. Some businesses should come in so those people can shop in and we can get an enormous number of revenue generation, which I would believe so, because almost every traffic goes to Dublin. This will also reduce the traffic. One area I would focus highly is building some 1,000 square feet homes which are affordable, because for past 4 years I haven't seen any single affordable housing built. Whichever are built are the senior citizen housing, which are for seniors, not for youngsters to come and do entrepreneurship over here. For attracting business, we need to make a ecosystem. There's an economic development committee which I went through all the minutes and figured out almost there is no special thing for businesses to come and do business in San Ramon. There should be some special, I believe so, and I think a lot of things could be done. Even if you engage the people in the volunteership as well as to build the innovation, it will automatically come in.
Yeah, Mark mentioned some tough cuts. I want to dive into that a little bit more. But in terms of if there are cuts to be made, I mean, it is easy to spend money if you have it. If you don't have it, is there a place that you see in the city budget that you would trim?
So a lot of this affordable housing doesn't need to come from cuts, basically. The builders have to be prioritized to build 1,000 square feet homes rather than 3,000 square feet homes. If the downtown is all built with townhomes, we'll see a lot of traffic in the downtown, which I think is not the right direction we are going. We probably need to make one more exit on 680 otherwise.
But do you think there's any spending that you think the city of San Ramon is spending too much on?
Well, one of the things I saw is spending too much on advertising, that they're paying some good $300K to one company to just advertise that they need to pass this ballot to basically promote passing the ballot, a tax increase. But I spoke to previous mayors and those who are opposing to the Measure N. I sat down with them. I understood what are places there could be cuts, and there are places where could be cut. I think a lot of the new renovations that happen on the park, there could be significant, some of them could be put on hold for now until we generate the revenue.
Mark, I turn to you. You mentioned tough cuts, and certainly it's easier to spend money than it is to cut money.
Right.
Where do you feel like, cuts can be made if they need to be made?
Well, we made some significant cuts this year. We were facing a $17.6 million budget deficit when it came time to balance the budget. We had a series of budget workshops, series of special budget meetings, had to make some hard decisions on what we wanted to cut in terms of services and programs. We got some hard things too, like library hours, and even eliminated some of the positions that had been funded previously but were not currently filled. So we had to cut some of those. Unfortunately, we can't hire against those positions now. And of course, when you don't have the personnel, that's one of our biggest expenses, then that translates into a reduction in services and programs. So we will probably have to continue to look at some of the hard cuts on the personnel side, as well as on other spending areas. But we want to make sure we got good programs for our seniors, for our youth, and our sports user groups, and our young families and things like that, and our very diverse community.
Yeah, and when you're out there, how do you find that voters are engaged, and what are you saying to them to get them to the ballot? Certainly in a presidential election, you get higher voter turnout, but do you find that what is your argument to voters on why they get out and why they vote in this election?
Well, I think it's especially important for this election for San Ramon residents. As was mentioned, there is not just the mayor race and a council race, but we do have the Measure N on the ballot. And I'll just speak from my perspective. The city council, and I was part of the city council, unanimously voted to put that measure on the ballot. This is going to give the voters an opportunity to weigh in and tell us if they think that some additional funds should be going to keep some of the services and programs, keep the public safety up, keep the parks good, keep the roads good, and the things that they have come to expect and deserve. If they want to keep that up, they'll be able to weigh in at the ballot box. And so it's an important one for our residents to get out there and take a look at that. If for those residents that are concerned, we even have there's a kickoff meeting for that. There's a citizens group that's running a kickoff meeting tonight, and they can certainly find out more information about not only the benefit of that and why the city council put that onto the ballot, but also what's the impact if that measure doesn't pass. Okay. And hopefully the residents will pay attention to that and take it to the ballot box with that in mind.
That's important. All right, we are running out of time, but Charlie, I want to give you one. You got into this race because you didn't think it should be a single candidate race. What do you say to voters to get them to the ballot box?
Well, one thing I really want voters to see that nobody should run unopposed. Sridhar ran unopposed. That was one of the things if I wouldn't have run, there would be bunch of appointees. 5 out of 4 would be appointees. Well, city council will vote for new appointees, and nobody's going to appoint a dog as such. My logo is a dog.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for being a part of this candidate forum and being here to answer some of the many important questions from constituents and talk about the issues. Each candidate is now going to have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. And Chirag Kathrani, you can start.
Well, I would want all the voters to understand that democracy is very, very important for us. So I want everybody to check in if there is any race that any appointees, anything, any position that come in the city, please come and join in. One more major change I am going to make is whenever in the city council meetings, whenever I go, usually there is most time spent in proclamation. There is also when the issues are, when spending is, there is not even a single discussion that happens in the spending. Directly it happens, people talking about their regular stuff, but most of the things are not really talked about. So that basically disengages people. If somebody comes and talks in the city council meeting and you say, okay, this is not the agenda item, they come 3-4 times, and if they never come on the agenda item, they'll just stop coming, and that's how the residents have stopped coming, which I've seen personally because I organized all the youth who were doing Fridays for Future, and I said, like, instead of doing that, you come and talk in the city council meeting. They were standing for 20 weeks in broad daylight in summer, and not a single city council member or city staff ever showed up. That's why I think community engagement is very important topic for me.
Okay, Mark Armstrong, your 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you for this opportunity to introduce myself to everyone and answer your questions. To our residents, I'll say this. I've dedicated my entire adult life to serving other people. I feel those years of public service have led me to this point now where I can continue to give back to our community that's done so much for me and for my family. You know, San Ramon's, it's a great place to live, to work, to play, to run a business. And we're very fortunate, that, as I said before, that we don't have a lot of big problems that we need to fix, but we can continue to work on the opportunities that make San Ramon an even better place to live. You know, I'm committed to public safety as a top priority, and I think together we can preserve our open space and protect our existing neighborhoods. And I'm going to advocate for good quality of life for all of our diverse community and be a guardian of our environment. You know, when I was in the Army, you know, I had to move around and start new jobs every couple of years. That taught me to be a quick learner and a problem solver, and I'll continue to do that on City Council, and I pledge to do that as your mayor. As a retiree, I will continue to devote my time to further understanding San Ramon's issues and making thoughtful decisions on behalf of what's best for our community. I'll foster the relationships that I've made in the past to build consensus. I'll listen to our residents, and I'll ask the right questions, and I'll continue to make informed decisions that are consistent with the visions of the city. And thank you for your vote on November 5th.
All right, Mark Armstrong, thank you. Chirag Kathrani, thank you so much. This concludes today's candidate roundtable for San Ramon City Mayor. Once again, the candidates are Mark H. Armstrong and Chirag Kathrani. For more information about the candidates, you can visit vote411.org. To view this broadcast online or to get more voting information, go to contracostavote.gov/elections. And for information on election security measures, you can visit secure-election.org. I'm Claudine Wong from KTVU. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to vote on November 5th.